Hey everybody, happy Saturday evening live tutorial stream. I hope everyone is doing great wherever you happen to be watching the Beading Dreams stream from. We are so happy to have you all here with us this Saturday on this 4th of July holiday weekend. So what do we have for you this evening? We are doing a wire wrapping project tonight. This is going to be our freeform wire wrapped cabochon. So this is kind of a freeform square wire wrapping class, something that's a little bit less structured than some ways of wrapping a cabochon, but sometimes it's nice. Sometimes it's nice to just be able to kind of like go with it and wrap it rather than having to measure and tape and mark and bend and this, that, and the third. It's the end of my work week, so I'm definitely feeling a lot more of the screw it, just go for it vibe than the measuring vibe. Hi, Sophia. Oh, of course, Susan, we are absolutely open on Monday, 1 to 6. So yes, come by and we will be here. So, and also hello to all the people who I didn't get to say hello to in the chat, which I think is everyone but Lori. So hi, Susan, Sophia, Aso, and Lori, and everyone else who's out there today. So let's talk tools and supplies for this evening's tutorial. All right, it's a pretty light one. Like I said, it's the end of my work week. So I have about 1.5 brain cells remaining, possibly 1.75 depending upon the minute. Yay, Mary, on Monday as well. I found some bags of yours, Mary, from like March. So you have some things that you have. Yay! Oh, thank you, Mary, for believing in me. But yeah, Mary, you've got some stuff here that I think we may have forgotten about. So you have bags of things, yay, and according to Mary, I totally have 1.99 brain cells. That's exciting. Mwah. All right, so what do you need to do this class this evening? Fairly simple, fairly supply light. Once again, my brain's dead, so we are going to be fairly simple tonight. You're gonna need a cabochon of some sort, okay? So this is a rainbow obsidian from Mexico. Look, Hecho en Mexico. From Mexico, cabochon. I love rainbow obsidian, but I especially love it when it has this sort of like kind of hurricane storm pattern to it. So pretty. So I have cabochon. The cool thing about this particular cabochon wrap is that it really doesn't matter what shape your cabochon is. A lot of the cabochon wrapping, it's specific to, it's got to be an oval, it's got to be a drop, it's got to be, a round or a square or this or that. This one is freeform, so that means it works great for all of the funky, weird shapes. Like, what shape is this? What the heck would you call that? I have no idea. That's not an actual shape. That has a name, and yet we are going to wrap it this evening. And then as far as wire goes, you're going to need some 20 gauge square wire. Okay, so I'm using 20 gauge square sterling silver wire. It's a lump shape. I still don't think that actually qualifies as a definition of shape, Mary. I mean, all right, how many sides does it have? Okay, it's got 2 sides and a curve. Like weird shape, obtuse, baroque, eccentric. Like there's got to be some proper geometric term for shapes that are just random and weird. Anyway, 20 gauge square wire, okay, all right, fine. A lump is defined as a compact mass of a substance, especially one without a definite or regular shape. All right, so until somebody drops some better knowledge on the stream, this is officially a lump shape. That is what we are naming it. 20 gauge square wire, doesn't really matter what metal. We are doing, this is a cold connection class. That means there's no heat, no flame involved. So that means that you can use anything in 20 gauge square. So we're talking sterling silver, gold filled, brass, bronze, copper, craft wire, colored wire, whatever you have, 20 gauge square. Okay, so even though my camera is having some issues with, blowing out the wire, it's square literally means square, all right? It's got 4 flat sides. All right, you can see the sides and the corners there. So square wire is, it's a very kind of specialized wire, but it's really fun because it's got kind of a cool look to it, and you don't have to hammer it or anything to make it look cool. It just comes that way. And you see a lot of wire wrapping done with your square wire. As far as tools go, you're just going to need your basics. That's going to be your basic wire wrapping tools. That is going to be a round nose pliers. Pretty sure I'm going to have to turn the exposure down on my camera. A wire cutter and a chain nose pliers. So I'm going to start by cutting my wire. So I'm going to cut pieces of my 20 gauge square wire. I'm going to cut 4 12-inch pieces. That means I'm going to have 4 feet of wire. Now, can you be more conservative with your wire in this project? Of course you can, but you know, the less wire you cut, the less facility you have for kind of like the little curly cues and loop-de-loops that you can see on my prototype. So, you know, the more wire you have, the more embellishment you'll be able to do. The less wire you have, the less embellishment you're going to be able to do. Now, if you've never done wire wrapping with square wire before, I highly suggest that you use copper wire. Grab yourself a pound of 20 gauge square copper wire. It's not going to cost you very much, a pound of copper wire. Currently, I think the going rate for retail is like $27 a pound. That gets you a lot of footage of wire, and you practice, because I will say when you're doing this type of wire wrapping, it's a bit more of an art than a science, and the difference between it looking completely derpy and looking cool really is just a matter of practice. It's just a matter of, hey, I think if I bend the wire this way, it'll look better than if I bend the wire that way, which is why, once again, I highly recommend, if you've never done this before, get yourself some copper wire. Practice, practice, practice. The cool thing is your cabochon isn't going to be hurt or damaged by your wire wrapping at all. So if you hate what you've done, just pull it off your cabochon. Definitely wordplay, okay. But we're not playing the drinking game yet, Sophia. Well, apparently says me. Though we do have, on this pre-sale tutorial stream, we are test driving the Hail to Queen Rita cocktail. That is going to be our cocktail for tonight's stream, and we do actually have Queen Rita present in the store. Yes, so that's a Queen Rita whoop whoop right over there. So cheers to her. She did, in our sponsor a succulent drive, she did donate at the level of getting a cocktail all her own. This is actually her cocktail recipe, but we named it after her. So all hail Queen Rita. Cheers. Or long live Queen Rita. I like all hail better personally. God save Queen Rita. Cheers.
But it's all about Queen Rita.
It's all about
Elizabeth after the
yes. It's all about Queen Rita, because since we are here in the U.S., we're not drinking to the Queen of England on the weekend of United States Independence Day. But yes, I know, Lori. Sorry. Exactly, but I digress. I'm supposed to be teaching how to wire wrap. That's okay, Lori. You can cheers to Queen Rita later. These are just, see, they're just tester size. They're little drinks. They're really small. Small with an O. Which there was a fun little like entomological article on the internet the other day about how now like small with an O and small with an A are actually completely separate words because they have different connotations, which was rather interesting. Okay, so hey, thanks, Asa. This was the stream project, as you know, from last Saturday. Okay, so I've got my 2 12-inch pieces of wire, and by 2, I mean 4. What? Oh, you didn't put them in? Sorry.
Well, they weren't in the recipe that...
Oh, that I posted, because I suck. Oops. You know... Okay, so a couple dashes of peach bitters. That's something I left out of the recipe graphic. It's just one of those weeks, y'all.
In the recipe section of Discord, I have added our tweaks, and I will also add that.
All right. Thank you. I will just live with my shame and continue to teach the project. So I have, okay, and I'm gonna take a second. I'm gonna turn down the exposure because it's real bright. It's like mid-afternoon Dallas bright. Oh my God, it was so bright this afternoon in Dallas. Like, it was so shiny outside, like incredibly shiny to the point of being obnoxiously shiny. Yay! Lori's down to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's awesome. So is that a temporary reprieve for y'all, Lori, or is it actually supposed to, like, are you guys now on the downward slide? Okay, so I've got my 4 pieces of wire, and I'm going to set them up perpendicular to each other. So I've got 2 going one way, 2 going the other way, and I'm going to pinch them at the midpoint. And I do have, ideally, they're centered. So this is the center of all of my wires all on top of each other. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bind these wires together basically by twisting them. So I'm going to take these 2 sets of wires and I'm going to grasp them and I'm just going to twist them twice. So, and of course I'm going to hit my camera while I do that because I'm doing like gymnastics with my hands. So 1, 2. Okay, so what I should have after I do that is I should have this. So I should have my 4 pieces of wire bound tightly together in the middle, and so now I have these kind of 4 little legs. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, my wire up, and I think I feel like I need to zoom out a bit. So sorry for the producing on the fly. Bear with, please. But we're just going to zoom out a little bit so you can actually see what I'm doing. There, it should be a little better. Okay, so we have our twist here, and then we have our kind of 4 legs, and each leg is composed of 2 pieces of wire. So this is going to be the back of our cabochon. So we're going to take our cab, and we're just going to plop that right on top of that wrap. And actually, if I had a razor blade right now, I would totally take off the Hecho and Mexico sticker, because once you wrap, it's going to be really difficult to get that off because it's going to be underneath your wraps. So we're just going to see if we can get that off, and it seems like it is going to cooperate, which is awesome. Grab a little alcohol. Funny story about one of my favorite clients who I love to death, but I had a piece of lapis that I was working on a pendant with, and I had not taken the remains of the price tag off of the back of the lapis, and it wasn't a traditional cabochon. It was one where it's a lot flatter and it's kind of harder to tell what's technically the front and what's technically the back. So she picks it up and she holds it with, of course, the back facing front. She's like, well, I just love this side. I love this white part on here. I think it had so much dimension to the piece. And I just had to say, Linda, I'm really sorry, but I'm pretty sure that's part of the price tag. And and then we all had a good laugh about it. All right, so there we go. The price, or the Hecho and Mexico tag, is off the back of my cabochon. How are you supposed to say it?
Hecho in Mexico.
Hecho?
Hecho.
Hecho. I'm from Wisconsin. We don't speak that Mexicanese there.
How do you say it in Canadian?
Did Mandy leave?
Yes.
All right, then the only person who can tell us how to say it in Canadian is Lori. Lori? Okay, so continuing on with the project, we have our wire. We're going to take our cabochon, we're just going to pop that right on top of our wires. So when we're doing this, basically, when you're wire wrapping anything, when you're trying to what happened to the peaches to make them so bitter? See, I didn't take any Spanish, actually. I took French. I took the same, basically 2 years of French for about 6 years of my academic life, because I took French 1 and 2 in middle school, and then I took French 1, 2, and 3 in high school, and then I took French 1 and 2 again in college. So I've taken a lot of French, but it was all very repetitive. So when you're wire wrapping something that doesn't have a hole, in order to make it kind of a, a solid support system so that it's not going to fall, we have to do a couple of things. We gotta support it from the bottom so it doesn't fall down. We gotta support it from the top so it doesn't tip forward, and we gotta make sure that it doesn't fall out the sides. So we're gonna start with this. So we're going to start with our wire wrap behind our cabochon. So I'm just going to start with one wire. Which wire do I want to start with? We're going to start with this one. And we're going to start bending the wire. How do you say made in Mexico in Klingon, Mary? Just wondering. I'm sure it has lots of spit involved and possible guttural throat sounds. 'Cause Klingon. Okay, so I picked this one, and so I brought it up, and okay, this, I'm not gonna lie, this is where you're really gonna wish you had that third hand, or fourth hand, or fifth hand, like that just extended from some random part of your body to help you hold things, because this is gonna get awkward. I'm just warning you right now. But so I've taken this wire wrap from the back around the bottom, so I'm kind of creating a seat for my cabochon to sit in. And once again, for those of you who love the step-by-steps and the do this, do this, do this, do this, and you have the thing, this project's a little bit more freeform than that. So just bear with me. Eventually we will get there. Okay, so now I'm going to pick another wire, and I'm going to go ahead and do this one that's on the other side of the bottom. So I'm going to bring that one around like so. And so what I've done now is I've pretty much created a seat for my stone. So it's not going to fall out the bottom now, which is great. So I've accomplished one of my 3 tasks. The 3 tasks when you're wire wrapping, again, are number 1, make sure it doesn't fall out the bottom. Number 2, make sure it doesn't tip forward out of the setting. And number 3, make sure it doesn't fall out the sides. So we've got the bottom pretty much covered. So now let's work on the top. So I still have 2 sets of wires that I haven't touched. So I can take this one here and bring it around the top of my piece, like so. So once again, now I'm holding whatever, 6 wires with one hand. And this one here, I'm just gonna leave that one for a minute, because right now I've got a pretty good thing going just using these 3 sets of wires. So I could totally just use this last set for my bail and totally be fine. So I'm not gonna mess with that one quite yet. But now I have to, so of course all of these are sort of splayed out right now, which is not a desirable situation because I need to anchor them off. So let's start working on that. So let's see, what's the most logical one to do? I'm going to do this one first. I'm going to bring it actually around. So I'm holding the whole top of my stone. And then since I've decided that this one's going to be my bail, I'm going to wrap it around my bail wires. Just like so. Dink. All right. Ta-da. So this wire is somewhat anchored off. I don't have to worry about that as much at the moment. Now I'm going to do the same thing with these 2. So I'm going to take this one on the side, bring it around the back, wrap it around my bail wire, and then same with this one. I'm going to bring it around this side and wrap it around my bail wire. Okay, so now everything for the most part is secured off. So now I get to have fun with this. So now what do I want to do as far as decoration goes? Like, do I want to do some cool curly-Q stuff? Do I just want to leave it? At this point, except for actually making some place for a piece to hang, we've done our job. Like, if you can shake it this hard and it doesn't fall out of your setting, you know that you've done a good job of setting it. So everything I do at this point forward is going to be decorative. So let's start doing decorative stuff. So we can take our wires and we can make little loops where you're just going to hold with your finger, hold down, and just bring your wires around to make a cool little loop or curlicue. And then at this point I've pretty much reached the end of this wire. All right, I don't have enough to do anything else, so I'm going to grab my chain nose pliers and I'm going to take that wire and I'm just going to tuck it behind one of my wires that's already there. So I just kind of have it anchored in right there. And then I still have more wires. Now, before I get too involved in messing with these wires, I'm going to go ahead and take my 2 wires that are going straight up, the ones that I haven't done anything with yet, and I'm going to make those into my bail, because that way, once I've folded them down, I can use my other wires to anchor them in. It's not going to be quite so bulky. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to grab on those 2 wires and I'm just going to bend them over. And that's going to make my bail. And then what you can do on the back is you can just squeeze that in so that the next time I take one of my wires and wrap around, like so, it helps to secure my bail. So then I've got another wire. I'm going to do something else fun and decorative with that. And once again, once I've done my little decorative bit, I'm done. I don't have enough wire to do anything else here, so I'm going to go ahead and tuck that under here. This is too long though, so we're going to trim that off. And if you have trouble getting it to tuck under that wire, which I currently am, just take your chain nose pliers, and just put them under your wire, wiggle a little bit. That'll give you a little bit of room. Alright, so there's that. Okay, so I've got 2 more wires that I can do exciting decorative things with. So I'm going to take this one, I think across this way. Let's see if I can get it. Yeah. So I'm going to take this one across this way and I'm going to tuck it off here. So once again, more art than science. Like what I'm doing now, there is literally no rhyme or reason to it other than, hey, I think this will look good. That's it. This is why, once again, I really recommend, if you've never done this type of wire wrapping before, get yourself some copper wire, practice it, because I guarantee you, you are gonna make some things that are ugly AF. Do you know how I know that? Because I made plenty of things that were ugly AF. Now, some of you out there might be way more talented than me, in which case, I hate you. But for most of us regular humans, get some copper wire, practice. Seriously, it makes a huge difference. Because, you know, it just, and every cab is different. That's the other thing. It's like every shape is different. Every shape requires a little bit of a different approach. And, Carol, you got a shout out from Sophia. That was a Carol background laugh. Sophia, how's your new place? I heard you were unpacking in the far north of the northest Wisconsin. Also, winter there is going to suck. But I know you knew that already. Okay, so this is my last one. This is one that actually is my bail. And I'm going to do something interesting with this one. I'm going to split it. this may totally backfire on me. I think I'm gonna split this. So I have one going each direction, and then we're just gonna do a little bit of kind of curly swirly action here. Up yonder. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you totally went Midwest on that one, up yonder. All right, so I'm gonna do a onesie, and then I'm gonna tuck it off back here. Well, yay. Awesome. Hooray for new jobs and new starts and pretty places which are currently not experiencing winter. Enjoy that for the next 5 to 7 business days. All right, and then last but not least, I have this very last one. So I kind of have a lot of, like, I've got most of my decoration on this side, and this side's a little kind of calmer. I think I'm gonna stick with that. I want to do one more decoration on this side. Like, I kind of like the fact that, you know, I've got a little asymmetry going, so. So I get what you mean, Sophia, which is, it's an ensuite, but I swear to God, I had just a moment of like, there's a toilet and shower in the master bedroom?
It's awkward.
That's awkward. Yeah. I think that's probably because I was just reading this morning one of those silly like crack lists of, yeah, like realtors and their worst, like, you know, crazy home finds. You know, things like the bathroom on the landing of the stairway and things like that. Okay, so I'm gonna trim this and tuck it in. My grandparents, who did, after my grandfather passed, they did sell their property in Portage, but they had for my entire childhood property in Portage, Wisconsin, where they would go camping, and yeah, there absolutely it wasn't a porta potty. It was legitimately an outhouse. Like, they actually had an outhouse on their property in Portage. So I can say that I have legitimately used an outhouse. I don't know if that is something to recommend me to, you know, anything or for anything, but hey, it's experience I have had. Yeah, I mean, so I guess if we're gonna rank outhouses, like, you know, top to bottom, like, I guess, or you know, necessary features for a good outhouse. How about that? I mean, definitely having a modern toilet seat, like on top of the hole, so you don't get splinters in your ass. That's definitely a must as far as I am concerned. Definitely, obviously, you know, minimizing the smell, having proper toilet paper, oh my God, there was one time when we went camping in Portage and skunks, never met up with a skunk on the way to the outhouse, but there was one time we went camping in Portage, and there were all of these tiny little worms. It was their, like, breeding season, and they were everywhere. They were just falling from the trees. Like, when we were so my grandparents had a camper, but then my aunt and I would camp in a tent sometimes because we were, you know, being cool, and literally it sounded like rain, all the worms dropping on the tent, and that was not a fun trip to the outhouse. No. But anyway, I actually finished this project really quickly, which was unexpected. But hey, it's done. Like,
now we can talk
about outhouses and skunks. So, all right, so yeah, I mean, legitimately, it's done. I did it. So, I will say, this wire wrapping technique is prettier on the front than it is on the back. Okay, it's just kind of the nature of this wire wrapping technique is it always looks a little awkward on the back. So this is not one of those where, you know, when people, this is a thing that beaders and crafters do that is Rude AF, but we still do it, is I get this when I go to bead shows. Never when I go to gem shows, but just when I go to bead shows. People will walk up to you, people you've never met before in your life, and they'll go, oh my god, that's a beautiful pendant that you're wearing, and they'll grab it, and they'll pull it away from your chest, and then they'll flip it over so they can look at the back of it. And I'm like, okay, I have a number of problems with what's going on right now. So, you know, first and foremost, stay out of my bubble. Secondly, don't look at the back of my pendant. There's a reason I've hidden it against my chest. So anyway, exactly. This is my dance space. That's your dance space. Stay the F in your dance space. But yeah, so this is definitely one of those, if you see anybody coming at you that you think is going to flip your pendant over, just start throwing rocks at them or something right away, because it's really not super attractive on the back. But the front of it is very fun. And if you're more of a minimalist, you don't have to do all of this decorative, you know, kind of schmaltzy-waltzy stuff that I did here. That's not necessary. You know, all you have to do is secure the cabochon in the setting, the end. Like, as long as it's not going to fall out, and as long as you have some way to attach it to a chain or a cord, you know, you're good. So all of this is pretty much just window dressing here. You know, all of this sort of just swirly wire wrapping. But that being said, it is fun. You can also incorporate other beads and things into that bit of the wrapping. Also, look, you can see all my lights. There's the heart light and the ring light, and that's my hand camera light. That's my fluorescent light, I think. Yes. Look at all the lights. So many lights. Anyway. Wait, I have to see leap from the... Oh, goodness. Yes, Lori. Wow. It's amazing what unintended encounters with wildlife will make one do. But yeah, so that is, and so just a, you know, little kind of perspective on how, you know, everything looks different. Okay, two completely different shapes and sizes of cabochons, two completely different looking wraps. Also, okay, let me address this real quick before we get off this type of bail. So what we have here on the one I just did is a simple, you know, wire bail with my two wires together. But what I can do if I want to is I can just get my pliers in there and I can bend those two wires slightly apart. And then I get this, which is called a rabbit ear bail, which is a little more professional looking. It can be a little problematic if you're doing, if you're stringing this with beads. The rabbit ear tends to kind of sit weirdly with beads, but if you're doing it on a chain or a cord, it's a little more professional look for your piece. So that, I think, is it for our Saturday evening tutorial stream. I'm so sorry, I was expecting that to go not quite as quickly, but hey, look, we made a pendant. Freeform, wire wrapped cabochon. Yay. Well, I never. Oh, awesome. Cool. Oh my god. Okay, toss a coin to your Twitcher. Sorry, that's hilarious. So yes, wire wrapping coins, very fun. There. All right, that way it's not going to mess up everything. But yeah, so hey, we did it. We finished our freeform wire wrap pendant. So for anybody out there who doesn't know me, hey, I'm Allison from Beading Dreams in Dallas, Texas. We are an actual brick and mortar retail bead store. We are here on Lover's Lane in Dallas, Texas. And we are here to feed your need to bead in person here in Dallas, Monday through Saturday from 1 to 6. We are also here on this channel, twitch.tv/beadingdream, 5 times a week with complimentary tutorials. We are streaming Wednesday through Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time, plus a bonus stream Thursdays at noon and live merchandise sales every Wednesday and Saturday at 7:30 p.m. It is, of course, Saturday night. That means we do have a live merchandise sale coming at you in just about 40 minutes on this channel. Woo!
Got mine to spend.
And I promise I'm going to be awake for it. on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream. We've got the rest of our 8-inch gemstone strands, plus a bunch of cool wood and other gemstone strands for you this evening. So that's going to commence in about 40 minutes at 7:30 p.m. on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream. So, all right. So everyone have a great, wow, 40 minutes. I think I'm going to do some calisthenics, so I will be nice and awake for the sale. I'm also going to drink some caffeine because, wow. So if you're going to be joining us for the sale, awesome. Oh, thanks, Susan. If you're going to be joining us for the sale, that's fantastic. Make sure to pour yourself a cocktail. Don't forget our cocktail for tonight is Long Live Queen Rita. Pour yourself a cocktail, get yourself some hydration, maybe a snack. Get comfy, get cozy, and get ready to enjoy some retail therapy right in the comfort of your own living room, office, or wherever you happen to be watching the Beading Dream stream. So it's time for me to sign off, close the store, get everything ready for the sale, and I will see you all back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream at 7:30 p.m. for a live merchandise sale. Everyone, have a great 30 minutes, and we will see you soon.